Okay, looks like we are finally live here, and hopefully folks will be able to hear me out there. I'm going to start by sharing this on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, I'm going to see if I could share this with anybody. Because right now, I would love. Can totally see you now. Step up, ad stream, go live. I'm going to have to. If anybody's online now, just bear with me. I'm still setting some stuff up, but I'll just let folks know when when I actually start working on this. Okay. Hey, if you're just joining me now, my name is Felix. I'm a video editor, and today I am going to be working on some Adobe After Effects work. Adobe After Effects happens to be pretty much my favorite post-production tool within the Adobe Creative Suite. And the reason why I like Adobe After Effects is that it just seems to give you a lot of options for rendering graphics and different elements, and it's just really, really good. So I'm going to be basically doing a 30, kind of like a 45-second trailer for a YouTube channel. I'm just going to play back a digital voiceover that I have here, and at some point I'll get a real person to do the voiceover.
Men of planet Earth, it is time to dom.
Sorry for that. It needs to render out. Hopefully it doesn't sound too bad.
Men of planet Earth, it is
All right.
Men of planet Earth, it is
Let's do this.
time to don your
I'm just gonna
Men
play
of
it.
planet Earth, it is time to don your armor and raise your shields. Today's society has become a series of daunting barriers for honorable masculinity, feminism, the deep state, and the deterioration of individual freedoms casts a shadow over the heart of many. Although the days of chivalry are now over, you, as men, still have the ability to honor the knight's code, thereby demonstrating a valor to inspire future generations.
All right, I'm not gonna bore you too much with the details of that, but I'm gonna actually start working on this. So the first thing I'm gonna do is this is my first shot here. It's a public domain photo from I believe it's from it might be from NASA. I'm trying to remember. But if you go onto Flickr and you search Creative Commons, that's a source link for lots of public domain photos that you could just pull and use them for pretty much whatever you want. There's a couple of rules in regards to doing that, but I just find this to be a really good source for that. So definitely check it out. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to render this in 3D space because um, I really like how the camera works. There might be some 2D stuff in here, some 3D stuff. Usually I kind of mix it up, but I prefer just moving the camera in different parts of the scene depending on what's happening. So I'm just going to start creating cameras, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to type in the chat. So when you make your camera, um, you have a couple of, I'm just gonna call this moving cam one, and the preset here is for the film size. I believe. Well, let's see, focal length. Actually, that's the focal length right there. So that's like a little, just basically like whatever, like so 50 millimeters, and for my photography folks, that's basically what a normal human eye would see. The lower numbers mean it's more wide angle, where it's going to be more wide, and then 200 and on, anything above 50 is going to be telephoto, where you're zoomed in really tight. So I'm going to kind of focus distance, lock to zoom. I'm going to enable depth of field, and you got to be careful here because things get blurry really quick. But what I could do is, for now, I'll set the focus distance. I'll figure that out once I see how things are starting to look here. So let's make the camera. And then we need to change to view horizontal. And then active camera, moving camera 1, custom view 1. All right. So when you're working in 3D space, the real big thing is the arrangement of things. So I have a black background. It's just going to be kind of just black, like a matte black. I'm going to scale this up, and we got to make sure our layers are also 3D as well. That's really important, just to make sure that they could be moved in space the way they need. These are your axes. This is your y-axis, x-axis, and z-axis, which that's the most important one for 3D. So I'm gonna work on moving this Earth, and we press P for position, and let's move our little planet. Why isn't it showing here? That's strange. I have it enabled for 3D. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, this won't be exactly me being an expert here. I mean, I know how to do this stuff, but as far as presenting it, that you folks can learn something from it. Hopefully it'll work for you. Here's the original source, but that's the other reason too, because I applied an effect in the beginning, so that's probably the reason why we're not seeing it. All right, let's try this here. Ah, there it is. Okay. Really, what I should be doing is I should have cut this out in Photoshop or something, but I'm gonna be a little lazy because we basically have a black on black background, so I don't think I have to worry about that too much. Really, it's just gonna come down to, and the camera's essentially gonna just be front straight on, so I'm not gonna worry about that too much. All right, and now what I want to do is camera options, focus distance. Now what I'm doing here is I'm setting my focus. So if I go here, you're looking on the left side, I'm basically setting the focus point to the camera. Now when I zoom the camera in, it's actually going to, you can actually set the focus distance to a specific layer, which is fine. There's a couple different ways you could do it. Let's see, this should be, I think I might need to turn this to a 2-node camera in order to be able to do that, but let's see, let's not go too crazy here. That built on focus, highlight saturation. It might be under transform. Zoom. So basically that's going from wide to tight, which is one way we could do it. I don't think we'll actually have to move the camera right in this part right here. So it should kind of come in like that. Custom moving camera 1. All right, so we start out with the shot of focus. I'm just gonna.
Men of
All right, right around here.
Men of Planet Earth.
I'll move forward a little bit in the timeline, and then we're gonna do a couple things with the camera here as far as like a move. I'm actually gonna zoom into this thing and then have this fade out into another series of things here. So we're basically gonna kind of do like a fast zoom, like we're kind of taking a really quick zoom into this area here. It looks like this is North America. I believe this is Mexico right here. So we'll just kind of set the zoom and see if we could animate something here. All right, so we set a keyframe.
Planet Earth. It is Earth.
And then, yeah, it goes pretty far, even though it starts going soft. And then we have orientation, and we got to see what. All right, so that's kind of rotating the camera around on a particular axis. So let's see. We could do some fancy stuff with here. That would be cool. All right, so what I'm going is I'm going to I'm gonna, let's just double check that we're doing exactly. All right, that's not quite what I want to do. But, yeah, you see that? I kind of want to make it herk and jerk while I'm doing that. So let's C, K, J and K move to the next frame, so you don't have to worry about like worrying exactly where it is. All right, so we'll just kind of do that. All right, and what's Y? No, it needs to be X. Yep, that's what we need. All right, so I'm setting a keyframe for the X rotation as well. Okay, and we'll just kind of and I'm gonna actually zoom in a little farther here and just kind of really get close to this thing. And this is a really high res photo, so I'm gonna be dissolving this part to something else, but this shouldn't be too bad. I mean, I could probably leave here. Here's Florida right here, so maybe we could just take the Z. We don't want it to be too sudden. Maybe right there. There's Florida still. Not my favorite place in the world right now. Just because there's always storms and stuff, and I hate the humidity, so I'm not crazy about that. I'm just gonna put in the zoom just a little bit more. We'll just see, now it's starting to go soft, which is fine because I'm actually gonna do a defocus effect on the layer as I'm that thing out. So let's just see. This is pretty fast. And we also get a little bit, actually it looks pretty cool.
Earth. It is Earth.
But the rotation really doesn't seem to do too much, so let's do that.
Planet Earth. Earth.
Yeah. You probably see this in shows a lot. The performance on this is not going to be too bad, but there might be a couple quirks here because I'm running a lot of programs at
Men
the
of
same
Planet
time right
Earth.
now.
Planet Earth. It is
So we're definitely being a little compromised as far as video quality is concerned. So hopefully that won't cause anybody too much trouble here. Okay.
Men of Planet Earth.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to initiate easy ease on these because we want this to be a cool looking animation and we don't want it to just look herky jerky. So now we have the keyframe set to ease in and ease out. Now we're going to go to the graph editor. Here's a little trick that I learned to kind of make this a cooler looking animation. Okay, I'm actually going to spread these keyframes out in the timeline a little bit just because it's a little bit on the fast side. And then I'm just going to kind of let it.
Men of planet Earth. It is time.
Oh, that doesn't look right.
Men of planet Earth.
That ain't right. What happened there? It looks so fine during the preview. All right, I'm going to have to take a couple of steps back here. What did I do wrong? Oh, yeah. Something got thrown off here. There. I must have changed something by accident. That happens sometimes in After Effects just because there's just so much stuff you can do.
Planet Earth. It is time to. It is time to don. Earth. It is time. Men of planet Earth. It is.
All right, that doesn't look too bad. We're just going to change this around and see if I can make this a little bit more dynamic. And I think that's what caused things to get screwed up. Yeah, it's the only thing I could think the reason why that's happening is I don't have all the keyframes selected. So let's do you. Let's get out of the graph here and make sure all our keyframes are selected when we do this. And that's why things looked weird when I did it that time. So hopefully this won't be bad. Yeah, I guess when it comes to the 3D camera, it just kind of moves a little different. So I'm just going to leave this alone for now. I'll do some stuff a little bit later.
Men of planet Earth. It is.
All right, so we'll do that.
Men of planet Earth. It is Earth. It is.
Okay. Now we need to. I'm just gonna keep that that background up and let's
Time to don.
cuts out right there, but I'm gonna do a little transition out. Now I am using a couple of plugins. I'm using Red Giant Universe. It just saves me some time as far as like applying certain effects, and I just think it's a really cool thing to use. All right, transition. Film exposure blur. That's what I use to put this thing in. So actually, I don't want to do that because I already have that in there. So exposure blur, what we need to do is, this is kind of like simulating the effect of maybe the camera getting too close to something and then it going out of focus because you have somewhat shallow depth of field. So, which that's kind of happening already. It's going a little soft, but I just want a means for this to, excuse me, to, let's see, put a keyframe here. All right, so back to 100, and let's see if this will fade out as, yeah, so we're gonna have another layer under here.
It is. It is.
And this is basically kind of like a dissolve, and this doesn't even have to be
Planet Earth. Earth. It is time.
and we're gonna add some sound effects to this too, because sound is 70% of what you see, and I'm a fan of spicing things up with some good good audio. And I think the levels are a little uneven here. So hopefully you guys hear my microphone okay, but I'm just gonna bump up the gain just a little bit on this. 1, 2, check. Yeah, that'll be a little better. Hopefully that'll go a little because it sounds like the voiceover is a lot louder than what I'm doing. All right.
Planet Earth. It is time.
All right. So now let's pick our next source. And basically what I'll do is I'll have the camera continue to zoom onto the next thing, and I'll show you how I do that. And I'm hoping that maybe I could just kind of fade this next layer in. But first, I have to pick out a picture. So I'm taking a bunch of photos and basically making kind of like a slideshow. And the theme is kind of like the knights of the age of chivalry. So bear with me while I look for the photos I need here. There's a lot of stuff from other things that I have here that probably should not be there. Wolf teeth. Where is the black and white sword thing? I'm not seeing this. It's weird. Alright, so we're seeing something that I may want to use, but let's see what else we have here. Yeah, chivalry. So as I'm doing this, I'm actually going to show you where I get my some of my photos from because well, that shouldn't be there. Oops. Probably should have organized this a little bit better. All right, so just to kind of give this and this needs to be rendered in 3D space in the same manner. So my plan is to show this portion here of our nightly friend here. And first we have to make sure this is a 3D layer. Yep. Now let's mess with the scale a little bit because this photo's pretty big. So the reason why I have these two screens is so I can kind of get an idea of how things are looking in 3D space as well as what the camera sees. So what you see here is how the camera actually looks. So when I make the video, this is what is going to be shown. And this portion right here is really more about just keeping things organized. This is a good way to kind of get an idea because basically once you know where things are in relation to one another in 3D space, you're basically doing camera blocking like if you're on a film set where you would arrange actors and props in certain ways to make the film shot the shot look like how you want it. So it's going to look a little weird here as I do this, but just understand that this is really just a way for me to be organized. What we're actually going to be working on and what's actually going to be the final result is on this left side here. One of many really cool features that you see in some 3D programs, a lot of them have these multi output views and everything, and this is pretty fun. So, any event, I'm going to keep on going. So we're gonna try to see how this comes in. And the idea is to actually what we really want to do is have this transition into this and see a little bit movement on this photo as we're doing this.
Earth. It is men of planet.
There should be just a little touch of movement, so we need to bring this here. And the reason why that's showing up is because this is actually in front of the planet. So we're going to move this back a little bit. And we're actually going to change the focus distance on this too. So we got to, actually change the focus eventually if this is a little out of focus. And we'll be able to tell pretty soon whether that's the case or not. A lot of this stuff could probably be accomplished in 2D space where you're, just making the layers like move around and all that. But this for me looks a little more realistic. And being that I have a background in photography and video and film, basically I'm kind of translating what I already know in the realm of photography into the digital world here. So I like to work that way because it just helps me keep things a little bit more dynamic and unique. I do 2D animation as well. I'm not an animator by trade. I'm just trying to learn some of this stuff now. But I like doing motion graphics on Adobe After Effects, my wonderful favorite program of all time, pretty much.
It is
Yeah, see, we kind of want that to happen where that'll be kind of like in the frame as that thing is blurring out. But there's a couple things we got to do. First, we need to change the position, and that's going to be the Z axis, where this is actually behind. Now we're going to have a better idea of how this would look. And this is just really about, and you see how it's probably a little out of focus, but I'll change the focus length just a little bit. The camera's not moving. All we're doing is zooming in right now. We're not really doing anything with the actual camera moving. See if I could kind of give you an idea what's going on here. It's really tough to describe this to you, but essentially, right now, for now, in this first part of this, I'm really not going to move the camera much. It's just going to be kind of like a couple of different images splashing on the screen, and then I'll probably do some camera movements once I introduce some other elements into this thing. Also depends on what the voiceover is. I'm basically editing to the voice in a way where I'm trying to like come up with visual references to what our digital lady is actually saying.
Earth. It is mes-
All right, so because my video card isn't so hot, and I'm doing this in pretty high quality here, as you can see. I could make it work faster, but there's going to be a lot of distortion here in the beginning, which is okay when you're just drafting things together. And oh yeah, save early and save often. That's very important. We have an autosave file on this, but it's just a lot more easier to not have to worry about recovering something. All right, so I want the focus to be more on this guy. So we're gonna do a couple of things. Even though this is an awesome painting, but I want the focus to be on this guy because the voice talks about armor. I mean, he doesn't really have much armor on, but he has his sword, and that's something I can work with now. I can always change it later. Well, this guy has some leg armor, whatever. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try to scale this up just a little bit. And then let's do our X and Y axis. Right now, this is the X, this is the Y. And we may want to rotate this a little bit, but I'm actually kind of digging this look right here. Only issue is, again, the little black that's there, and actually this image is starting to go a little bit soft. So one thing that would solve that is I could do rotation on this and try to like get have this look a little bit better here. So I'll kind of show you how that works. So this is me rotating the image, and I don't know, maybe something like this. And he's a little bit too camera left, but I'm gonna kind of let that go because I'm not gonna be on this for too long. So all right, so we do see a little bit of that black. So I'll have to adjust the timing of this, but and remember the images aren't moving per se. It's the camera that's zooming in and doing stuff. And I'm going to add some other effects to this, like old film grain, to kind of give it a little bit more of a moving look. And in fact, I might do some stuff with this, and we'll see what happens. But
time to don your armor
and shield. Do I have anything with shields here? Oh, that's a good question. So, in our quest to come up with visuals for the voice, we're going to go back into our public domain Creative Commons page within Flickr. And I'll try to remember to put all this. Come on, baby. There we go. All right, looks like that's working. All right, let's go to. So this goes beyond video editing. This goes into more of the editorial world, but just bear with me because I'm building this thing as I go along. Let's see, shield. Let's see what we get for shield. And sometimes this is like, it could be a crapshoot sometimes, the kind of photos are on here, but people are always adding new things. And or I could just find another image and just replace that. That's another option as well. That's actually pretty cool, but we're not going to use that. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Ooh, Lord. Okay, so let's see. We're going to do shield. Might want to put sword and shield, but let's see what comes up here. And to go from that, I'm probably gonna have to replace that image because that would just be too fast of an edit. Because I'm trying to come up with some kind of visual representation for everything, but sometimes that doesn't quite go. And something like this, you could be a little creative. I mean, you don't have to do everything literally, but I just want to see if I could find. There might actually be a better image than the one I have up there now. All right, so let's go back here and just put night. And let's see what comes up. That guy looks badass. All right. Ooh, lordy, lordy. Not exactly finding. That's the thing about doing this. Sometimes it becomes a crapshoot. But usually, I might have to just leave that image as it is, which, you know, that's not that big of a deal. I'm really not looking. I really want to make sure I'm using photos that are public domain that doesn't have any copyright issues with it. So yeah. Rather get a knight with an actual shield versus a knight or a shield. And I'm not finding what I'm looking for. So we'll let that ride. I may think most people can understand the relation. And maybe I'll just fade in something else. Oh, let's keep on looking down here. Yeah, I'm not exactly finding what I want. Excuse me, I'm still waking up. I think I might need more coffee. Try to get more comfortable here because it's actually warming up in the house. The weather in the Northeast is pretty nice today. It's been probably just about the best fall I've seen in quite some time, and fall happens to be my favorite season. So okay, yeah. So I'm not seeing anything really particularly good. I'm just gonna kind of keep it moving so you guys can see the good stuff. So let's see. Oh, there you go. Just want to make sure that's still okay.
It is time to don. It is time to don. It's time to don your armor and raise your earth. Your armor and raise your shields. To today's society.
Yeah, so I have a somewhat of an idea what I want to do for that. Today's world is filled flooding. Yeah. Um, so we'll go from
your armor.
and actually what we should do with this, we should have this just zoom out just a little something.
It is time.
And what I mean is letting this, actually we'll just kind of, I'm actually going to do a little bit of a keyframe here for this. And the reason why I'm doing this is I just want to have there to be just a little smidget of movement. Now we want to be subtle with some of this stuff, and I'm just going to have the image pan from right to screen left for a little bit while this happens as well. And let's see, just a little bit.
It is time to don.
And really, I should have this image here doing that. Let's see.
Earth. It is Earth. It is time to don your armor and raise your shields.
All right, and I just want this to be, and we'll let this ramp real quick.
It is time to don.
Might not be the most appropriate photo here, but let's just see what happens.
It is time to don your armor and raise your shields.
All right, I may find another photo for that, but so now what I'll do is I'll go into a photo here that we have of a crowd. And I'm not sure what part of the world this is, but there's a lot of people.
Shields.
Alright, so what I may do with this, I might actually have the camera zoom back out and fade these two items in. Yeah, let's do that. First, let's mess with the rotation here.
Shields.
Yeah, we're gonna change the camera on a little bit, so I'm actually gonna start working on the zoom here. So we'll do a keyframe.
Earth. Earth.
Let's move this here.
Today's society.
Today's society. Yeah, I think a crowd would work for that. All right.
Today's
society. And essentially, we need to just kind of we'll just do 5,000. Sometimes typing something, yeah, let's do 5,000. Sometimes typing the number is better than using the sliders. And when you're doing this, you really want to get as many super high res stills as you can. You don't want to just be pulling thumbnails from Facebook or something and just trying to like do that. The more resolution you have, the more room that you have to work with as far as like doing effects and all that. Like you see how even zoomed this far in, although yeah, it's smudges and all that, but as long as it's not digital smudges, like it doesn't look too blocky. So this is actually a really good example of the kind of photo you want to look. And if you look here, the resolution is 3,228 pixels by 2109. So, that's beyond full HD resolution. So that'll allow you to be able to kind of zoom in, change the photo up, and maybe apply some effects without there being any or too many compression artifacts. It'll never be perfect, but you just want to start out with something good and then work from there. But if you start out with a low resolution image, it's just going to be kind of crappy and you're not going to like it. It's not going to look very good. This is soft, but it's naturally soft and it doesn't look blocky. And I can always fix that. I can always apply a filter or something like that. But the less work you have to do in post, the better. I mean, people say fix it in post, and that's probably like the worst philosophy you want to have if you're filming. You want to basically minimize the time in the editing room because that could get pretty darn expensive. In any event, so we're going to start here, and we need to change the rotation on this too, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that's going to be camera orientation. Let's see, position. All right, so we need to transform. There we go. Orientation. X rotation. Okay, so we need to set another keyframe here for the X and I guess the Z rotation. And then let's go to the next keyframe and let's see if we can. All right, we definitely don't want to do that. We just want it to, and we are going to have to zoom out some more, but I'm just trying to get this to be a little bit more even. So what you want to do is when you're doing this, you want to kind of do stuff when you're doing stuff digitally that you probably couldn't do in the real world. Like in order for me to do this camera move in real life, I'll probably have to use like a high-end crane system or something like that, or maybe a drone for this. So let's take advantage of the digital tools that we have access to, right? Okay, so we got that. Now the question is, how much can we zoom out before we see something that we don't want to see? Let's do 3000. Just to let you know, folks, looking at this is the actual size of the image, but this is what the camera is seeing. So, because think of this as like a matte box, or the edges of whatever the frame are, and this is currently this little line right here should be where the focus is set. So the image isn't perfectly in focus, but I'm not using such a wide aperture that it's going to be a problem. I think I have the camera set to a 5.6 on the iris right now for this thing, so it shouldn't be too bad. But we'll zoom out just a little bit more. Like something like that would be a little bit better. And then we'll do on the camera. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll let it be a little angled. Why not? We're kind of going off the cuff here, so now what we need to do is we need to find a way to make that a little bit more appealing so it doesn't look like a straight edit, which it could. I mean, you could actually we actually could leave that in.
Your shields.
That's where it comes down to personal taste, but sometimes better
Raise your shields.
Sometimes less is more.
Today's
And we want things to move. Like if it's a still image, we kind of want there to be a subtle move to it. We don't want it to look like it's just jacked up, like it's just static. I'm using stills because it's easier to find royalty-free stills than it is to find like stock video that you don't have to pay for, and the budget on this thing is pretty tight. So I just want to make sure we stay within budget as much as we can. So in the absence of video, you could do stills, but just understand that you got to add a little something to them as well to kind of keep it from being too boring. And we'll add some
today.
See, that looks a little weird because it's a little slow. So So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add maybe a motion blur to this layer. And I just want to see what this looks like. Now this definitely messes with the performance of your machine, so just be warned. but I just want to see what this looks like when I do that. So we're just gonna do a RAM preview, and that
It
might take a
Earth.
few
It is
moments.
time Earth. It is time to
Actually, so we don't get annoyed by the voiceover, we're just gonna go visual on this and just see what it looks like. Yeah, some of this stuff could be pretty computer intensive, and I got a fairly new computer. The computer I'm editing on is like only a year old, but it's, it could be a challenge. Huh, one person's watching. That's cool. Probably just me watching myself. Nobody wants to see me edit video. Well, it's not the most exciting thing. I'm not even sure if this is any value. I might be better off doing a tutorial based on this. Yeah, blur effects is something that really, really makes it tough on your computer. That's not bad. A little bit fast, but still not bad. Maybe we'll extend this out a little bit. And that whole thing with the movement's not starting until you see the photo, and that's not the right way to do this. You want it to be moving as as it's coming in. So let's see if I can fix that a little bit. I'll just RAM preview this out. I'm actually going to take the quality down to half quality, and it'll just make it easier to render. Just remember, we're just previewing, so it doesn't have to be. That's a little bit better. I mean, the image is moving, and that's fine. That might actually be just fine. And that's a little bit fast, but yeah, that's not bad. It kind of makes, I like it. Just get out of this for a moment. Okay, so yeah, that photo is going hella soft. Yeah, see, it's not bad because it's grainy here, but I might have to replace that with something else. We'll see. Let's bring the VO back up so I can see how long I'm going to have that up for.
series of daunting today's society today today's society today's society
Oh, that's the reason why it's so slow. Having it automatic is
today's
pretty good.
society
So we're gonna have this zoom out just a little bit, and I'm just gonna, and actually what I'm doing, instead of scaling it, I'm actually just moving it in 3D space, which some people may think that might be not the best way to do it, but it's not shouldn't present too much of a problem for me. Oh, we don't want to do that. So I'm just gonna have this scale back a little bit. So let's do position.
today's society has become a series of dawn.
All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna move this back just a little bit, And to keep that from happening, and we definitely don't want that to happen. So what's happening is it's moving to 3D space, so the other picture is popping in. So I gotta make that not there.
Today's society
Society has become a series of daunting.
Yeah, see a nice little
Today's
subtle.
society has become a series of daunting. Today's society has become a series of daunting.
All right, good.
Has become a series of daunting barriers for honorable masculinity.
Honorable masculinity. So now we gotta figure out. Yeah, I wouldn't mind finding something to represent for that. Oh, that's a good one. Definitely in terms of masculinity. Uh, Conan is a great representative of that. But I might not have exactly what I'm looking for here. Let's see. Yeah, that definitely represents something really nice there. This is a wonderful photo. Guy here has escorting a lady here. I'm pretty sure she's probably like the Lord's wife or daughter or something like that, and it's his job to keep her alive. So this is definitely a nice idea of positive masculinity right there. But we just want to make sure that we're not. I would love to see something that will represent that in a different way. Steve McQueen is the man. That's an awesome photo. Uh, da, 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 da. Surgeon. Yeah, I don't want to use that photo until later. The one of the two people on horseback, because that thing's really nice. I'm gonna try to just work with what I have here. Um, Positive masculinity. Yeah, I love that stuff. Yeah, it just shows two men working, which that's pretty damn honorable in my opinion. So I'm just gonna go with that.
Series of daunting barriers for honorable
Now, once I do this one talking
masculine
point,
become a
because we're gonna start going into some other things, so I'm probably gonna pause the stream or even end it, just to see if I could find some better photos, because I don't want to bore you with that process. You guys came here to see Adobe After Effects, not Flickr. So I'm gonna scale this up a little bit. And see, one thing I forgot to do was that. You gotta make sure if it's existing in 3D space, it really exists in 3D space. Now, this one's going to be tough because of the aspect. It's in portrait, not landscape, so it's going to have a hard time fitting with these. And I would like to see the whole photo, so this might not be the best photo here for that kind of thing. But it's high. It's not the greatest resolution. This one's pretty bad too, in fact. So what I might do is just have this like a straight full screen. Should still be pretty easy to tell what's going on here. And we'll have to see, because this is moving back. I might actually just have this come in with the a blur kind of effect. And that'll maybe save us a little bit of time. Sometimes it's good to use effects to kind of help you come up with things.
A series of
Yeah, so all right, so that's about right. We just want this thing to kind of come in like that. And again, I'm using a plugin here. This isn't something that's available natively, even though you could do the effect. It's just I'm using a plugin to kind of save a little time.
of daunting.
All right. Let's see. This is 0, 100.
Of daunting.
And then 0. So hopefully.
For honorable masculine.
All right. Why? Something happened there. Let's see. Should be 0. There we go.
Series of daunting barriers for honorable masculines become a series of daunting barriers for.
So I could do this with the camera, but I'm gonna be kind of lazy and just actually blur the video out itself, and kind of give it an impression like we're doing kind of a rack focus at the same time. So to do that, we're gonna go here, and we're gonna put in effect, blur. See which kind of blur we're going to use today. I don't mind that at all. Okay, let's do that. Shape, hexagon, square, pentagon, octagon. And we'll do the octagon. I'm a UST fan, so we'll do octagon. So first, we'll start this at 0. And as the same time as that image is coming in, what we're going to do is we're just going to keyframe the blur to kind of match what's going on with this. And then what we'll do is, we'll see, maybe something like that. It basically kind of looks like we're bringing an image in while rack focusing. I mean, it's, you know, that's basically what we're doing here. So it's kind of like, yeah. Then we'll add a little bit of movement on this as well. You know, we just want to make sure that this is rendered well. And this photo isn't so hot. It's pretty low resolution. So even if I want, you know, I wasn't planning on to, but if I wanted to make this full screen, that would be pretty bad. Sometimes you just want to do it. And I don't know why the crowd walking thing. Ah, that's the reason why. Okay.
Of daunting barriers.
All right, so we're going to do a little movement on this as well. And the reason why is we want every image to be moving. We don't want any static images in this one. Like, it's just because they're stills and they're not video, you really want to just have stuff that just looks, you know, good. So we'll kind of do a y-axis, something subtle. It doesn't have to be anything. I mean, it's pretty easy to tell what these guys are doing. Yeah. And we'll bring this back just to kind of...
Series of daunting barriers for honorable All
right, so... yeah. Masculinity. 2 freaking blacksmiths putting in work. Yeah!
Series of daunting barriers for honorable masculinity.
Oh, wonderful. I'm gonna sign off in a couple of minutes. I just wanted to experiment with this, so hopefully there's something here that you got from it if you happen to be watching. But once I do this last thing, I'm gonna sign off for now so I can actually get this thing done.
Honorable
Sometimes
masculinity series of daunting barriers for honorable masculinity series of daunting barriers for honorable masculinity series of daunting barriers for honorable
it's
masculinity.
not bad. All right, so I'm gonna save. Everyone, thanks for watching. This is my first stream. I'll continue to do more, but hopefully you got something from that. Bye bye.